Welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting of December 20th, 2023. God, this year went, didn't it? The Conservation Commission will hold a meeting under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and/or the Town of Wareham Wetlands Protection Bylaw Division 6 and any other applicable laws on Wednesday, December 20th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. All matters listed may involve a decision, a discussion, and possible vote. All hearings of the Wareham Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Town of Wareham Wetland Protection Bylaws Division 6. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Welcome. Roll call, please. Jessica, start with you.
Jessica Parr.
Paula Jean O'Neill.
Carol Melanson.
Sandy Slavin.
Kwame Barty.
Michael Mercier.
Autumn Wood.
Joshua Faraday, Conservation Administrator.
And online?
Donna Colbert.
And for the record, the last name starts with a C, not a K, for the person doing our minutes, so that can be corrected. All right, we're here. We've announced who we are. I think we're going with the first hearing, please, Carol.
Okay. Notice of public hearing pursuant to provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass., on Wednesday, December 20th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. This is a request for determination of applicability for Charles Callan, 110 Sandwich Road, Wareham, Mass. 02571, for a proposed dwelling addition with garage under and to attached apartment. Map 133, Lot 101, 110 Sandwich Road, Wareham, Mass.
Is there anybody here representing this project? Please come forward and identify yourself.
My name is Frank Westgate. I did the survey and plan work for this project.
Okay. Frank, can you tell us about the project?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. As she said in that notice, it's going to be a proposed addition with a garage under. The addition will be comprised of a kitchen, one bedroom, a dining area, and a bath. And there will be a garage under with stairs leading up inside to that main floor. And then there's also a wraparound deck out in the front for the water view. Everything is outside of the 30-foot sacred zone from your vegetated wetland. And the proposed septic system is currently under design. We wanted to go through this process before we got too deep into that. But that system will be, it'll be at least 150 feet from the high water line. And I don't know, that's about it. Any questions?
Okay, I will ask Josh to comment on it, please.
Frank, is the house currently on a septic system?
There's a septic system in the front of the house. When I say the front, I mean the water side of the house. That's going to be abandoned. It's a cesspool system.
Okay,
So this will be a brand-new system. that'll
definitely
take in-
failed.
Well, hasn't yet, but
Oh.
it will.
All cesspools are failures.
It will fail.
Yes.
I have no concerns with the project. There were some things around the property that need to be addressed. I did meet with one of the applicant, or the applicant's wife on the site, and we talked about some of those issues, and I believe they have been rectified. The bigger issue that they will have to come back for permitting is the maintenance of the bridge that
will be
crosses.
a separate
Right.
issue. We'll come back
Yep.
for that.
And that's what she had mentioned. She said it was something that they were looking at doing in the spring. So I would just make the note that they come back for permitting when they do go to make enhancements on that. But other than that, I have no concerns with the project.
Okay. Jessica, questions?
No questions.
Paula Jean.
No questions.
Carol.
I was there today. Oh, sorry. I was
Sorry.
there today, and they had moved the kayaks and the boat up to by the house.
Perfect.
No questions, thank you.
Kwame,
No questions, thank you.
Michael,
No questions, thank you.
Autumn.
No questions, thank you.
Donna, anything?
I have no questions about the proposed addition. I am assuming that the septic system is going to be a separate issue that'll be dealt with at another time. Is that right?
Their proposed septic system is outside of our 100 feet, so we will not hear about the septic system.
Okay, but there'll be
Correct.
some other entity that does?
Probably the Board of Health.
Yep, the Board of Health will
Okay.
definitely review that.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Josh, your recommendation?
The recommendation is a -3 and a -5.
So moved.
Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to comment on this project? I'm seeing none.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second?
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 700. The hearing is closed. Now the motion.
I don't remember what it was.
3 and 5.
Motion to approve the project with a -3 and a -5?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained. It's approved 700. See you, Josh, before you start any work for your paperwork. Thank you, Frank. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Next one, please.
This is a request for determination of applicability for Nicholas Bergeron. One moment, please. Excuse me. 332 East Street, West Bridgewater, Mass. 02379, to permit the expansion of a stoop and stairway. Map 1, Lot 305A, 30 East Central Street, Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. And who's here representing this project?
Good evening, Brad Bertolo, JC Engineering.
Hey, Brad?
Thank you. All right, so this project started out with a COC request, which is also on the agenda this evening. At the time of our survey and inspection by both myself and the conservation agent, there were a couple items outstanding that were completed as part of the project or after the original permitting of the project. One being a side stoop on the house. I went back and took a look at, we did the permitting for that. I didn't get involved with the building permit plans, but we did notice on the building permit plans, I went online and looked. There was a side door shown on the floor plans. There was not a stoop shown on the elevation views.
Door without stairs.
Yes,
Interesting.
exactly. So that is the reason why there's a stoop in that location. It is within an area approved to be worked on. It's 40.6 feet from the nearest top of coastal bank, and right adjacent to the existing foundation to the house. I don't know if the commission would be willing to discuss the COC at the same time, or if you guys want to discuss that later. It is regarding the same project. I can go into that, or we could wait on that aspect.
We'll see. I know you'd like to. Is this your last hearing?
It's fine if you guys
Make
wanna
you
wait.
stay
Yeah.
I think it would be easy enough just to handle them both
all at the same time?
at the
Yes.
same time. Yep.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Brad. We're going to do them both together.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So moving into that, there was a shed that was constructed on the property that was specifically not allowed especially within the original limit of work. So that shed was removed. I had pictures of it as part of my COC request before and after. So that was pretty much the only outstanding issue regarding the certificate of compliance. In regards to the RDA, we're looking for an after-the-fact approval for the side stoop that was constructed. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Josh, Nicholas, did you want to add anything, or should I just ask Josh your comments? I think,
Yep, so, you know, the applicant had reached out to me and was looking for the certificate of compliance request. Upon a review of the property, I noticed that the stoop and the shed were done without permitting. So the RDA that you have in front of you is to permit for the stoop that I believe the commission would have approved if it was permitted for before. And, you know, the shed was located within the 30-foot no activity zone. And moreover, the order of conditions that the commission issued had a special condition stating, you know, no expansion of the deck and no placements of sheds. So it was impossible to look over that fact, that the shed was there. So upon removing the shed, I see that we can issue the certificate of compliance if the commission is agreeable that the stoop is permittable, which I see no issue with. So the recommendation would be a -3 and a -5 for the RDA, and an issuance of the certificate of compliance.
okay, questions? Jessica,
No questions.
No
Paula Jean,
questions, thank you.
Carol,
No questions.
Kwame,
No questions, thank you.
Michael,
No questions, thank you.
Autumn,
No questions, thank you.
Donna.
No questions.
Do we want to put something out there to identify the 30-foot activity zone for our conservation sign saying no work beyond this? I mean, it's it's not a big backyard.
I don't,
It was a...
I wouldn't say the 30-foot no activity zone would be ideal for them. I think the actual line of the resource area would be where you would want to put them on this property.
Well, isn't that about the line of the Phragmites and evergreens?
Pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the 30-foot no activity basically is the
whole
back of the
backyard.
deck, and it would be directly in the center of the lawn.
Some of that old wire fence that was shown on the original plan, it's pretty much, they planted those arborvitaes in front of it. The wire fence is still there, so a portion of that line is kind of
Okay, so,
demarked. Not the remainder of it, but at least some of it.
okay. All right. Anybody here would like to comment on this project? I'm seeing none. So we're looking at, I believe we're looking at two fines. One for the building of the side stoop for $200 that I believe would have been permitted if it had come to force at the beginning, and the construction of the shed will be of $300 fine because it would not have been permitted, correct?
Yep.
So we're looking at a total of a $500 fine for this particular project.
Correct.
I have a question.
Yes, Nicholas?
I bought the house a year ago, May, so May of 2022. I didn't put that shed up, and the house was sold 2 times. And so, like I said, I walked into this with a free and clear title, everything was good, and then I'm trying to sell the house, and we're supposed to close in November, and now we're getting hit with all this red tape, yet we didn't have any problems when I bought the house. It was
Which
like-
means your realtor or attorney never looked well enough into the fact that there was an order of conditions outstanding on this property for the prior 2 people who bought and sold.
Right.
So
my
I'm
question is-
sorry you got a good one.
Yeah, so my question is, who's on the hook for the $300 fine for the shed?
Josh?
You are as the applicant and the homeowner.
It has been removed.
Yes, it has been removed. I'll let the board decide whether or not. I believe it's I'm sorry for the person who bought the property, that the people before him didn't do due diligence when this house was sold and bought and sold and bought, you know?
I guess the work that took place was an area that was already altered. This was a property that was all grass as part of the neighboring lot. They did a subdivision. So that's the reason why the limit of work was kind of like halfway through the existing lawn. And the shed was constructed in that old garden area. So I don't think that vegetation-wise, like anything was removed and altered that would have, that allowed the construction of that shed. It wasn't clear-cut to build the shed. It was constructed in the garden. It's now since removed, so. It does also have 7 new or 8 new trees that were planted that are still there.
Okay,
One comment.
yes, please.
You can look at your closing package from when you bought the property. There should be an owner's affidavit where they may have attested to the fact that there wasn't anything like that in existence. Would be a good starting place.
You could go back to your previous, people who previously owned the property.
And so that would be, you would go off of that owner's affidavit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, okay, we have, there's nobody would like to speak. Nicholas has commented on it, so I believe we're to the point of closing the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, we're 700 to close the hearing. Would someone like to take a snap at the motion?
Okay, we'll try.
Well, I think
Well, we're doing both of these at the same time, so it isn't just the RDA, we're going to do the order of
The fines for the-
certification of compliances at the same time.
I would take them as a separate vote.
Separate one, okay, so
Yeah,
we're
just-
voting right now on RDA.
Right.
so I
So
say
that's-
we make a motion to approve the project with a -3 and -5.
Yep, anything more?
Uh,
You need to include the fines.
With the inclusion of the $200 fine for the stoop and the $300 fine for the shed, even
That-
though it's removed.
That is the motion.
Second.
That's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 700. Now we have the order of, I'd like to take a motion to open the hearing for the
Certificate of compliance.
certification of compliance. This is at 30 East Central Ave. That hearing is open. Any comments?
Motion to close the hearing.
It's not really a hearing
It-
that you
it's
need
just
to open
approval.
or close. It's,
We-
I'll give my recommendation, which
Yes.
is to issue the certificate of compliance for DEP file number 76-2606.
Okay, that's on the table.
So moved.
Second?
Second, all in favor of issuing 762606? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 700. You have your certification of compliance.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next one, please.
Okay. This is an NOI.
Nope,
11 Madison Street, I believe. We still have an RDA.
2 Daniel
Oh, I'm
Terrace.
sorry, yes. This is a request for the determination of applicability for 2 Daniel Terrace Realty Truth, 7 Madison Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, to build a staircase off existing landing, egress from secondary for emergency exit. Map 53, Lot 177, 11 Madison Street, Wareham, Mass.
And who's here representing this project?
I am the owner of the project, Adam, Commissioner.
Adam, could you spell your last name for me?
It is Belcher, B-E-L-C-H-E-R.
Thank you, Adam. Would you like to speak to the project?
Well, my wife and I purchased the property, retirement years are coming, and we noticed that the house had a landing in the back, and we're like, we only have one entrance and an exit. So we were worried, you know, if we had grandchildren or something happened, you know, someone's gonna go off 7 feet of the landing. So we decided to propose, I went through the building department, went through the chain of events, and when it came up to the conservation, it was at a standstill, and then I called the Conservation Committee, and then Mr. Flaherty came out and met the project.
Thank you. Josh?
So I went out and reviewed the proposed stair and landing. It does not fall within our 30-foot no activity zone. It's only within the buffer to the salt marsh, which was flagged. I believe, did you have Brad Holmes come out? Who came out to flag?
The project was flagged because it also is going to come with a project that we have an existing dock
That
and
needs-
I think you
that needs
attended
help,
my
yes.
property at the time. Chairwoman, you attended with Josh to the property?
No, I went on my own, but that dock needs,
Yes.
We went out months and months ago.
to this one,
Yeah,
or the one next to it? This one?
this one.
No.
Yeah, yeah, we went out quite a while ago. Yeah,
Okay.
Spoke to Mr. Belcher about the dock.
Because prior to the purchase, we were, you know, we knew the dock was there, and then the storm that came in, like we had this recent storm, kind of destroyed the dock. So I wanted to get on top of it, so of course I called Josh, and he came down, and we went over some of the area that the prior owner, the owner of this residence was probably from the 40s and the 50s. And I cleared a lot of the brush out of the conservation area. He mentioned some things, so I was trying to be ahead of, in a proactive way.
For the record, the brush was already cut
Established.
and just piled there. It was not, he did not clear brush
No.
within our conservation.
Correct.
He removed the dead,
Removed
It was a pile of brush that was there.
okay. And your recommendation for this project?
-3 and a -5.
Questions? I'll start with Jessica.
No questions.
Paula Jean?
No, just I saw how the dock is now gonna, it's this far from being wood floating in the ocean full of nails, so
Yeah,
it's
this
good
one
to know.
this one is going to be professionally engineered, and they are coming, you know, my engineer is going to be coming here, the Davion will be coming representing that at that time and explain to the Conservation Committee, you know, what we intend to do, and we want to do it all in the right
And
way.
the dock is already permitted, so
Correct.
it's just a
Yeah, I mean,
repair.
it's just so dilapidated that I always think of adding more debris to the ocean is a crime against nature.
No,
So
we'll make sure
that
we
was
can
what caught my
remove
eye.
whatever's there, but
Did it
we'll
su-
discuss that on the,
Did it survive this storm?
it survived the storm, it's getting, you know, uglier, but
Carol?
No questions, thank you.
Kwame?
Oh, no questions.
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Donna?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. I have none. Anybody in the audience would like to comment on this project? I'm seeing none.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
7 opposed, abstained, 700. It's approved.
Merry Christmas.
See Josh before you put it out
Oh,
there.
that was just a
Hold on, we
close,
gotta
we
still
didn't.
Oh,
I got a
all right.
motion.
Now,
Now you can do it.
Josh, Josh's recommendation was a -3 and 5.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 700. Now it's approved.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman and Commissioners, thank you very much. And the dock will be revisited with a professional engineer, and we will, you know, do our talk then. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next one, please.
This is a notice of intent for Kim Everlin, 9 Maple Ave, Wareham, Mass., to raise the existing dwelling above the FEMA flood elevation.
All right, and who's here representing this project?
I believe they are attending online. Letting them in there.
Good evening, Jed Hanna with Atlantic Coast Engineering. Can everybody hear me okay?
I did not get,
I could hear them, I can't see them.
I'm trying to stop sharing. Oh, okay.
Okay, who was that?
the name again, please?
Jed Hannon with Atlantic Coast Engineering.
Okay, please discuss the project.
Absolutely. Good evening, Madam Chair and Commission members. This is an interesting project. So we were engaged by the homeowner to have us come up with an engineering solution to raise the existing home, R-A-I-S-E versus R-A-Z-E. And they were in a unique predicament that we got brought into. So what happened was they did numerous improvements, which the building commissioner at one point determined that they had exceeded the 50% threshold, which triggered, that they need to completely make it compliant with current codes to include FEMA. So a certified letter was sent to the homeowner, which was sent to us at Atlantic Coast Engineering, and we engaged with the homeowner, also corresponded with the building commissioner on this, so that, he had a level of comfort that, this matter was being addressed by professionals. And so here we are this evening before you. This particular address is in both the AE flood zone and the VE 19. So the line actually goes right through the house. So obviously the more stringent applies. This is an existing single family dwelling, but there's also like a guest house, I guess I call it, accessory structure, which is upland. So this proposed project includes obviously the installation of erosion controls to start, which you can see in brown surrounding the property. And we can dive into the structural drawings as much as you want, but we're proposing to install square concrete piers with rebar, and also square concrete piers that come up from the footings. So those are spread out throughout the footprint of the house. Obviously, the house needs to get raised up prior to that work starting. So I know the homeowners in discussions with various contractors to get pricing. So again, the proposed layout is a series of concrete footings and piers that bring the elevation up to FEMA compliance, which in the VE zone, it's 2 feet above the flood zone for the lowest structural element. And on the top of that, there's cribbing, which we can see on the structural drawings, as well as joists and stringers. And again, this is to comply with building code requirements, but also for FEMA compliance. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Josh, your comments, please.
So you have to raise R-A-I-S-E, the structure. Access to actually doing the construction, is that all going to be done from Maple Ave?
Correct.
Okay. I imagine you're going to have to probably make an access through their front yard. I know that there's various plantings in there as well.
That's correct. There is a brick walkway, which will be utilized. The intent is not to damage any of the trees. So obviously we'll have to keep an eye on that, and when we do the as-built, make sure that the same trees that were shown on the existing condition survey are still there at the end of construction.
And it looks like you do have to expand the back deck to accommodate for the increase in elevation. Is that correct?
So the deck square footage itself is not too much, but when you look at the stairs, that's correct. Because of the increase in height, there's additional stairs, so overall square footage does increase due to that.
So that does fall within the town of Wareham's 30-foot no activity zone, so an increase in that would not be permittable.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
The town of Wareham wetland bylaw has a 30-foot no activity zone. So increasing the footprint and expanding the stairs, it's something that we would not permit.
Okay, so I understand that and respect that. However, from a building code standpoint, I mean, we're going up vertically, and so obviously there needs to be more treads and risers to accommodate that. So I don't know how we handle that.
You could try to build the stairs into the existing deck. They would lose deck space, but it wouldn't be expanding the footprint of the deck any.
Okay, can you scroll over? So this is the proposed. Do you mind just scrolling over to the existing?
Let's see. I believe
Yeah.
this is your existing.
Yeah, there's the existing deck. Okay, so point taken. Sure, subject to, I guess, revising, amending that deck plan to comply with what you stated, which is to keep the new stairs within the footprint of the existing deck. If that's the regulation we're going to be held to, we'll have to, there's no
Right.
negotiating there. We have to stick to that, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, that's a stance that the commission is held very strongly. So, unfortunately, that's what you're going to have to adhere to.
Sure, no problem.
Other than that, there would be concerns of the machinery used and the access, but I think we kind of covered that. And then there was an issue that I saw on site where it looked like there was some clearing of vegetation and dumping into the wetland that would be just south of the house, I believe, if I could find a north there. No, it would have been east of the house.
On somebody else's property.
Yes. So, I would say that there was probably a violation and a fine coming for that material that was dumped in the wetland as well. And
So was it an abutter that did it, or was it this homeowner, or you're not sure?
It's located directly behind the shed. So my assumption it was the homeowner. It looked like there were some branches cut from some of the trees as well that were dumped as well. And I can share those photos with you. I'll send them in an email to you.
Okay, I have no idea about that particular matter. But we can talk to the homeowner and, get that resolved. That's not a problem. If in fact it's theirs. Again, I don't know any of the history, but obviously it needs to be rectified.
Yeah, it's a conversation we can have offline, but those were
Okay.
a few of the concerns that I had for this project.
Okay,
Okay, great, thank you.
questions? I'll start with Jessica.
No questions.
Paula Jean.
No questions, thank you.
Carol.
No questions, thank you.
Kwame.
No questions, thank you.
Michael.
Josh already addressed my concerns about the access to the property. I just got one question that is slightly conservation, maybe slightly not. Any concerns about the history of this house? I believe this house was built many, many decades ago. I'm not sure if that's an issue here, or maybe more also for history. Otherwise, other than that,
Well, they're not getting rid of the house. They did major remodeling to it.
correct, but any impact to the house, though? That's all.
I mean, Historic Commission would only be involved if this house was to be removed.
That's,
That's it.
okay.
It's outside of any historic district or anything like that, so it's just Autumn.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, my turn. You're raising up the actual house. How many feet?
Let me get the exact number for you. I know it's over 10 feet.
Well, you're in a, well, you said the VE 19, what was the AE?
Yes, I have it right here on the structural. Just bear with me 1 minute, please.
So it's an AE 16, but they have to meet the
So they have to go up to 18.
No,
So on the site plan, you can see it's
Higher?
On the
21?
Yeah, it's VE 19 and AE 16. So obviously the VE 19 would govern. So the proposed finished floor elevation is 23.0, and I know that was submitted with the notice of intent. And obviously the building commissioner will review this as well. So 23, and then the existing FFE finished floor elevation is like 10.9. So it's
All right.
it's really about 12 feet we're going up.
Now, my question for you is the deck that's by the beach, will that also have to go up?
Yes.
So that will also be up on rate, because I don't think unless I misread the plans, so that will also be raised up. How
Yes,
I'm just going to be, how do you do it? Do you raise the house and then you raise or you raise the deck and then you raise the house? I'm very confused as to how you're going to mechanically do this coming off of Maple Street.
So the existing deck will be removed.
Okay, so you get rid of it and build a
Completely.
new one.
It's rather old, and then obviously with the new stairs that need to go in, it'd really be kind of cost prohibitive and more of a logistical challenge to try to salvage it. So it would be rebuilt, in the same footprint of the existing deck.
All right.
But yes, it would be raised up to, to comply with the height requirements.
Now, around the house, there's various pieces of equipment like air conditioner and stuff like that. Do they stay where that is?
So the elevation certificate and the FEMA requirements, that all that equipment will need to be raised up as well. So typically what we do is there'll be like a triangular knee brace bracket along the cribbing and along the framing on the side of the house, so that it provides a support for those units that need to be elevated as well.
Okay. See, part of it is I do not see those units on the plan, on the existing plan, on the side of the house.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. All those utilities, before any of the work actually starts, all those utilities will be disconnected, right? Water, sewer, gas, any other heating elements. And then after the house is raised and, the new infrastructure is put in place, all those utilities will get reconnected.
Probably under the house.
Oh, yes, definitely under the house. Exactly.
Wow. I don't think the homeowner expected to have this happen. Too bad someone didn't tell him he was putting too much renovation into this house. So the back shed is not being removed. The back building that has one bedroom is not being moved. Only the front building is being moved up.
Vertically, correct.
Oh.
Yep, that was the directive from the building commissioner because of the work that had been
I'm
done.
sure these neighbors will not be happy having construction in that very small little Maple Ave.
Can I ask for a point of clarification?
Please.
So they did the work without being notified? The work that they did was permitted, but no one told them at that time? Is that right?
So from talking to the homeowner and then getting a few clarifications from the building commissioner, there were several permits pulled. There was nothing done illegally. What they did was they did projects in multiple phases, which as a summation, when they were complete, the homeowner didn't understand the regulation, but the building commissioner did and kind of forced the hand that, hey, you've exceeded 50% of the value. And so it triggers full compliance with not just building code, but FEMA requirements because of the FEMA zone they're in here.
So all these windows will have to be replaced with required strong windows because of hurricane, I mean, sorry, not a conservation topic, but somebody really blew it on this project that allowed this homeowner to do this construction and modification for this structure. Okay. I think how in the world are you going to raise the building? Put a strap underneath it and pull it up?
Helicopters.
Helicopters?
No, great question. Easier said than done. So yeah, there's multiple companies out there. We do these projects quite regularly in Eastern Mass. There's Sylvester building moving. They use steel beams and jacks and cribbing and to raise these structures. I would agree it's that the access is tight. They're gonna have to play nice in the sandbox, if you will, with the abutters and be careful about noise and access and be respectful.
Because you don't even have 3 feet to the guy's fence on one side and to the trees on the other. Wow, this is going to be, very tight.
Sorry, Sandy, if you don't mind here. Is any of the equipment going to be stored? Where was that going to be stored? Is it going to be like overnight, for example? Is that going to be taken away, I assume?
The owner hasn't hired a contractor yet because, we have to get the conservation permits, we have to go through the building department review. And just looking at some of the setbacks, I think there's going to be some zoning relief. So we're several months out. So they haven't hired a contractor yet, but I'm sure that's conditions that, if the commission is amenable to issuing order conditions, we could put that language in that, equipment shall be put in the upland area and removed, from the property limits if it's not able to be kept on the property limits to, at least try to appease the neighbors as best as possible.
There's not much property limits out there to store the equipment, maybe just a short driveway area, that's it. I mean, other than that,
I agree. Yeah, you have the brick walkway, you have some paver area up there in the upland at the front, but besides that, it's trees and it's tight. So yeah, I think a lot of the equipment will just come in daily, except maybe leaving a dumpster there and some small tools and stuff.
What happens in a situation what if conservation said no, that the impact would be too great? What does the town do? What does the building department do?
I would have to ask the building department, but I would say they would not issue an order of occupancy.
Okay.
That's my impression, but I haven't spoken to anybody down there if we deny the project.
Not trying to put the homeowner in a position where they can't move one way or another, but to try and give them a way to go back to the building department and ask for some type of accommodation.
I don't know. They would have to deal with the building inspector. But
yeah, we've dealt with similar projects that have tight access in like the Situate, Hummerock area. And a lot of times, the occupancy of those particular homes are, very high May through September, and then sort of the October through April, it's not as populated, so it's kind of a better time to try to do a project like this. But yeah, we've worked on these type projects before, and it has to be maintained properly with erosion controls, keeping the site tidy, and trying to work with any of the butters as best they can to get the project done, given the directive from the building department.
this is awful hard considering this deck is right on the seawall. There isn't even an inch between the two.
Right.
I'm very concerned about spacing. Now, is it possible that the next plan shows us the impact on the footprint on the land? Because it's awful hard to read it when it's all yellowed in as to where the deck is going to be. I would like to see the footprint of the front and back deck as to what it would look like on the ground.
Of both, so yeah, the footprint of both decks are shown on the plans. And actually, the proposed footprint, it's upland from the existing concrete retaining wall, which is shown in gray. So it's a few feet clear. I could scale it, but it's a few feet clear from that.
What? I have a picture of the deck, it's right up and touching the touching the seawall.
It is, and you know, that on
Oh,
either
no, I'm talking
side-
about the proposed. I'm not talking about the existing.
Oh,
The rack line, when I was there, granted, we just had a big storm, but the rack line was up over the seawall, up on the pathway on either side of the house, seaweed, and the rack line was actually
which means
all
it
the way
probably
up there.
did a job on that equipment, that electrical
the
equipment that's on the ground.
Sure. But they're gonna have to do their work at low tide, huh? Because-
No, I
looks
don't
like
think the high tide normally gets
crazy.
that high.
Yeah.
I think it's
Right.
Okay.
definitely because of the
So,
storm we had on
are you,
Monday.
it sure looks to me like that deck by the water is right up to that seawall, or I'm not reading that right.
Oh, you're right, at the corner.
No, up on there, up being the proposed.
So the proposed, the footprints in, I guess it's light brown, then you see the erosion controls which parallel the property line, and then the existing retaining wall is in light gray below that.
Okay.
I can tell you how many feet it is. I'm just looking at the scale
I'm
here.
having a tough time with the size of the plan.
Yeah, so it's
So
it's
there is space,
approximately.
okay, so there is space. What's the light yellow? Is that the sand?
The light yellow is the existing, stone and riprap and such.
On the other side of
On
the
on
seawall?
On the water, yeah, on the water
In the
side of
water.
the seawall, exactly. Yep.
Okay, so there's just barely enough room for a hay bale to go in between the seawall and the proposed deck that is right?
Not enough room.
Yeah, there's just enough room.
Okay, so I'd like to know what the material will be on the ground to support the front and the back deck. Do you expect it all to be concrete? Do you expect it to be soil and stone? I can't tell from this as to what the actual material will be on the ground under the proposed decks. Am I asking the right question? I don't know what's underneath,
no, I
I don't
understand
know
what
what's
you're saying, yeah,
underneath
so-
the existing decks now.
I think she's looking for a structural plan of where the decks meet the ground and how that is supported.
Right, so it's gonna be standard deck, sonotubes, that support the 6x6 posts that support obviously the joists and stringers for the deck.
Okay, so what's the soil around the sonic tubes as they're in the ground? Is it stone? Is it concrete? What's the material under the deck on top of the soil?
So we haven't done any test pits down there.
No, I guess.
I think what Sandy
Is it going to be a pad of concrete underneath this deck or
Oh,
not?
no, it's not gonna be, nope, I'm sorry, I understand what you're saying now. Because it's land subject to coastal storm flowage or in the flood zone, it would just be 3/4 inch stone.
Okay,
Pervious, 3/4 inch stone, unless the
That's-
commission has other desires.
I think that's answering my question, because I didn't want a slab of concrete between the house and the seawall underneath.
Oh, no, absolutely,
I
great
mean,
point.
the deck's
Yep,
going to
sorry, I
be
just didn't quite know what
23,
you're asking.
yeah, the deck's going to be 23 feet above the ground.
That's right.
Did I finally get an answer? I think so.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think it's very rare for you to see a concrete pad underneath a house that's elevated within the flood zone.
Okay, so the deck is going to be raised, which means the pylons will allow full sea flowage under the house, storm flowage under the house. The deck.
Yes, exactly.
The deck on the street side, will that also be raised?
Yes, it will
Okay.
be raised in order to meet, obviously there'll be a threshold step up from the deck into the house, but it will have to be raised
All right.
proportionally.
Now, will there be any material on these support posts? Or will they just be full see-through, nothing else? You're not gonna,
You're not constructing any walls underneath the house.
No, given that it's the VE zone, it's got to be free flow.
okay.
The regulations are very firm
Some
on
people
that,
put
so-
slats, is that, you know, that will break away or something like that, so you don't see what's underneath the house. There won't be any cars underneath it, because they can't get to it, I don't think.
You're right on, yeah. So, you know, they may want to put lattice, but for cosmetic reasons, but it still has to have free flow and,
Yeah. So we would be concerned about that lattice breaking away if a storm surge, which means we haven't normally permitted lattice under homes
okay.
with this type of
Understood.
velocity
If
zone.
that's- if- Understood. If that's the commission's position and regulation, we'll abide by that, and you can put it in the conditions, not a
All
problem.
right. So we're waiting for a new plan to talk about the, how the deck will look without any impact into the 30-foot no-work zone. So those stairs will have to be redesigned. So you stay within the footprint of that front deck, of the deck on the water side. Is that the front or the back? That's the back.
Yeah.
Depends on who you
So
ask.
it's just, yeah, that's a simple fix. I mean, it's really, it'll be the footprint of the existing deck, and then that right side will just have more stairs with a return. So that's an easy fix if that's the only issue.
Josh, your
My
recommendation?
recommendation would be to see a revised plan before issuing an order of conditions.
Okay, our next meeting would be January 3rd. Could you give us a revised plan by then?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Christmas and New Year's, no problem?
So that's, you said January 3rd?
Yes.
The commission requires revised plans a week before, so.
Oh, that's right, we do.
December 27th.
Yeah, this is like it's a very quick fix.
Yeah.
Or we could push it out if we
No,
needed
well,
to.
if you can't get it to us by then, we would continue it, but right now, we'd be focusing on getting the plans a week before our meeting on the 3rd. But is there any other questions on the board before I ask the public if there's any comments? I'm seeing none, so I'm looking for a continuance until January 3rd.
Motion to continue till January 3rd, 2024?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 21, 3, 24. Okey dokey. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Have a nice night.
Night.
Do.
Well, that went longer than I expected.
Yeah.
Now we have a continued hearing for Courtney, 10, 14, and 16 River Terrace. I believe at the last meeting, we said there would be no more continuances. Have you heard from the
They have
applicant?
requested to withdraw.
So we have a request to withdraw. I believe we have to vote on that.
Yeah, I would entertain a motion to allow the applicant to withdraw.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 700. Finally, for the public, this person first came before us on January 4th, 23, so, wow.
Almost a whole year.
Almost a whole year of continuing that little sucker. The next one we have is Prime Engineering, 370 County Road. They wanted a continuance until December 20th.
And they've requested a continuance till January 17th. They're still working with the planning board on plan revisions.
So there's a request to continue until January 17.
So moved?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, 700. The next one is Faring Hill LLC, County Road.
They already continued to January 3rd. We've already made a motion on that.
Okay, now, I went out there and I couldn't get in. Did I miss the road? There was a log across what I thought was the dirt road.
That must be new.
It's possible.
It was a nice wide dirt road.
Last time we went out as a commission, there was nothing obstructing the county road entrance.
Conflict right now. There's active conflict going on with the butters.
Okay, so that's probably why someone put a log across the road, prevent anybody from going in there.
It's possible.
Interesting. All right. That's continued into the 3rd already. The next one is N-Star Electric Company. We continued it until today for some discussion on, I believe, transformers and what was stored.
Yeah, so the commission had concerns about the material storage area, and while it's outside of our wetland buffer, the concern was, maybe what was being stored there. There was discussion about the transformers, what they had and what the training actually consisted of on the transformers. And there was also concern about a stormwater permit that is issued from the planning department.
All right, and
I'll talk about the planning department stormwater permit after, but.
okay, gentlemen, please identify yourselves.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. My name is Peter DeFusco. I'm a senior environmental specialist with Eversource, and I'm the applicant for the project.
Okay, Peter, spell your last name for me slowly.
Certainly, D-E, capital F as in Fox, U-S as in Sierra, C-O.
Thank you, and welcome, because you weren't here last time.
No, I was not, and I'm
Okay.
sorry to miss y'all.
And the,
Eric Olson with VHB.
thank you.
Charlie Russell with Eversource.
Thank you. All right, talk to us, please.
Certainly. So number 37 Doty Street, as we all know, is the former Flagship Cinemas. For the record, the last movie I saw there was James Bond, and Eversource has purchased that. What we're going to do is turn that into a training facility, as well as an emergency response preparedness laydown area. And so what that entails is when there's a storm, Eversource gets prepared. We have a series of trucks, sometimes equipment based on how severe of a storm, and we'll stage it in different locations. A lot of times you'll see this Cape Cod Community College, Hyannis Mall, and other large parking lots. This being a property we own, it's nice because we don't have to worry about the coordination. So it provides a great central location. Just pause a quick moment. No worries, no worries.
Sorry. Come on, turn off. Sorry.
That's fine.
I apologize. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
Sure. And just to give you an idea, we have a massive response. I apologize, the clothes I'm wearing for tonight's hearing was because I was dispatched storm, and it just so happens my responsibility for the storms is monitoring the staging area at 37 Doty Street. So I was there today making sure that there were no leaks or spills and making sure that all of our equipment was in function and spill kits were around if needed. So though that's well outside the 100-foot buffer zone, I mean, I think we all care about Wareham. So your application that you received included a lot more information than, modifications to an existing stormwater system and conversion of grass area to crushed stone gravel training, which is the two items within the 100-foot buffer zone. So furthermore, to discuss materials, I don't want to get too into a wormhole of hazardous materials because that's defined differently amongst everyone. So the things that make me concerned about anything are usually PCBs and PFAS. Is everyone familiar with those hot words in today's environment?
Yeah.
Great, okay. So that saves me a little bit of explanation.
They're nasty.
Yes, absolutely. We can all agree on that.
Yes.
So what we're proposing is some of these training facilities will replicate what you see all around you. Sometimes you might not notice it, whether it's a pole-mounted transformer, a pad-mounted transformer, or equipment that's in our substation yards, usually in a chain link fence. This is all brand-new equipment, and we don't use PCB material anymore. That was some seriously dated materials. So what is MODF, mineral oil dielectric fluid? It's non-hazardous, but I will note that anything in a large quantity could be considered hazardous. So some of the steps we go through in keeping track of these things from a regulatory standpoint is something called Tier 2 reporting. And so exactly what I mentioned, when certain materials get to a certain quantity, they trigger a threshold to keep track of. So MODF, sand, salt, these things in large quantities are tracked through Tier 2 to make sure that the state and the company has an idea of what's where, and these reports are sent to your first responders. Fire departments around the state receive Tier 2 reports. That way, if a first responder is arriving to a site, whatever the emergency may be, they have the appropriate material to manage it and/or know what they're getting into, so there's no tragedies. Continuing on the materials management portion of it, there may be gasoline, oil, chainsaw equipment, something like bar oil. That sort of stuff would be in an appropriate locker that, of course, like I said, we're regulated. It's going to be state-of-the-art, locked up. If there's any sort of spill, we have another set of CMR that we follow, 310 CMR 40. It's the Massachusetts Contingency Plan. And what that would be is when you have a reportable quantity of X, let's use gasoline for an example, you have to report that to the state, right? You have a certain time allotment to report that to the state. In notifying the state, you also notify if necessary. So for example, if this were to discharge to a wetland, the conservation agent of the town is also notified. So that's our standard that we abide to here at Eversource. Now, I know I said a lot, and Madam Chair, I would love to entertain some questions before I go down a different set of things.
Josh, your comments?
So I would agree with everything Mr. DeFusco stated. The other concern was the stormwater permit. So the stormwater permit is something that is overseen by the planning board, and the stormwater permit and the planning board town bylaws have a direct conflict with our conservation bylaws. And this is something that we need to probably work with the planning director to figure out. But Mr. Madden's interpretation of our bylaw was that any and all permits need to be sought after and approved before coming to conservation. And the planning board bylaw says that they will not make a determination on a site plan review until they have a order of conditions or a determination of applicability. So,
Boy, we've all read that book, haven't we?
yeah, so, we could get in a battle over this with the planning board on, who goes first in this scenario. But if we issue the order of conditions and the planning board decides to change the entire site plan for their project, we would require an amended order of conditions for a new site plan.
Okay.
My talks with the planning director were that his conversations with the planning board would require no site plan revisions. So if it's us that's holding up the planning board from making their decision, I would feel comfortable issuing an order of conditions to move that process along.
Okay. Any comments on what Peter brought forward on materials being stored on site? I think that was well covered. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, questions. I'll start with you, Jessica.
Can you come back to me?
Okay, Paula Jean.
Well, that was a lot of good information, Peter, but I don't find any comfort knowing that when and if a hazardous leak occurs at your facility, Joshua gets notified. It's like, that's good, but it's too late. I'm more concerned about what's going to be there and how it's contained so that it can't, not probably won't, but that it can't happen in the first place.
Yep. Madam Chair, may I respond?
Yes, please.
So you bring up a great point. Aside from where this material's stored and the secondary containment that it's stored in, and aside from being brand new and not dated or subject to maybe rust or something that would influence a leak, let's say it burst, something burst and it leaked. On this particular project, this would go into that stormwater system and stay there. And now you have Eversource with our reputation on the line when we maintain relationships with licensed site professionals and some of the best rated cleanup contractors that respond on the dime, because we have to. We have, I mean, for example, the storm we just had, a tree come down and hits a pole-mounted transformer, and that starts to go to, say, an existing catch basin on the street. That catch basin may not have the stormwater features that this site has, and now you're running risk for a direct discharge to a wetland, where here, I would feel a little bit more safer that we would be able to remediate the stormwater area where the contained release would be. Did that make sense?
Well, it makes sense, and so that if disaster strikes up there, we're gonna be better off, you're saying, than if it struck like down my road where there is not a cleanup and containment company ready to jump in or equipment nearby. But I would like to know specifically what's gonna be there. I mean, first it was gonna be a training area and just stuff stored. And I pictured all the trucks, and you know, we all know any parking lot you go in, there's oil puddles all over the ground, because people, and then, you know, it doesn't have to be the equipment that causes one of these leaks, a human error. You know, human error is always there. You have a lot of workers, it's a big outfit. And it's just what it keeps coming back to me, I'm thinking about that.
Okay.
Does the training include cleanup training?
That's a completely different set of staff. So we have 24/7 environmental field response, which is in a different umbrella of our environmental division. So their phones are constantly on. So, you know, when there is a leak of some sort, again, it could be associated with anything company-wide, they respond immediately.
I mean, will this particular facility be used to train people in cleaning up? Like, will there be things that are done there as part of their training that include cleaning, you know, training for cleanup?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like practicing
To
spills
a
plus-
degree. Spill kits will always be located on site, and we have a company-wide best management practice that everyone, not only our internal employees, but as well as our contractors, are mandated to follow about spill kits and things they have to have on site to handle X. So they won't necessarily be trained as cleanup contractors, but there is a specific plan that they will be trained to follow if they do.
So you won't spill something, so they have to train to pick it up? You won't-
Say again?
You won't spill something, so they are trained to pick it up? You
Right.
you won't purposely spill something, so they train cleaning up?
As part of a training.
Yeah, so, yeah,
Correct.
okay.
How else do you
Correct.
train them?
That is not the case. So you can do that training with something that's inert. I mean, you can replicate something that's not
Okay.
mineral or dielectric fluid. I mean, if there's a secondary or third background, I mean, we have a tremendous staff that's trying to work towards that.
All right.
and have these precautions in place.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, I have no questions on this. I've been
Kwame.
through that kind of training, so I
I'm
understand
good, thank
it.
you, Peter.
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Autumn?
No questions, thank you.
Donna, anything?
Yes, I would like to, excuse me, Peter, where is the potential for spill? Is it mostly in the storage facility, or is it in the training areas, those cement pads out and about the property?
The potential for a spill would be anywhere that they have a transformer. So these aren't going to be, one clarification, it's not going to be on cement, it's going to be on crushed stone. So that crushed stone serves as a trap rock, right? So if there's a spill under those pad-mounted or pole-mounted transformers, it's going to hit that trap rock and stay there unless it's something absolutely catastrophic, in which case we'll be responding to things much worse than this. But it will stay located on the trap rock areas that you see.
So it's not directly related to the storage area, materials being stored in the storage area?
No.
The reason I ask that is because the storage area is, as on the plan, is relatively close on the property to the wetlands. Whereas if that was the area of concern, perhaps it could be sited, you know, closer to the north end of the property or something, further away from the wetlands. But you're saying that it's really in the activities of the training in the crushed rock area where there's potential with transformers.
Yes.
Okay, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this project? I'm seeing none. Josh, your recommendation?
The recommendation is the issuance of an order of conditions. I don't really see there to be any need for special conditions, as a lot of what they're proposing is really outside of our jurisdiction.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Is this, do we have to close it before we?
Yep.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 700. The hearing is closed.
Motion to issue a certificate of compliance?
Nope.
I'm sorry.
Standard order of conditions.
Standard order of conditions, rather.
That be the motion? I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained. So a 601. You got it.
Thank you.
Now off to planning. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, we have, there was an amended agenda issued, not within the 48-hour we had. I believe there was an omission of a continued hearing.
Correct.
So I would like to carry on that continued hearing now. If we vote on it, I will ask that it be placed on the agenda for January 3rd, and we do a confirming vote at that time. So we can hear it now. We can vote on it now,
Okay, so,
but it won't be really a valid vote until we, what's the word I'm looking for? Confirm the vote on January 3rd, re-vote.
yes. So Danny Warren, who's the applicant, is here, present with us. I met with him on the site this afternoon, and there are revisions to the amended order
Okay.
plan that kind of negate us really having a conversation tonight.
Okay,
So they have requested a continuance to January 17th to create a plan to show those revisions.
wow. Danny, did you want to say anything? I know you've been sitting here.
I wanted to show them tonight.
Oh, we won't take them tonight, they're too soon. We need them at least a week before our hearing. All right, so since it's not on the agenda, I'll take a motion to continue until January 17th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So it's continued until January 17th, and then you can get the updated plans to Josh so we can take it at that time. Thank you, Danny, for sitting this length of time. You had nothing else to do this evening.
I'm just worried about planning board. It took 3 months to get to this one. It'll take 3 months to the next one. You won't have to worry about it till after.
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
yeah. So what did I do with my note? I just had it. All right, we are down to the enforcement order for Doty Street. I believe we have somebody here representing that particular project. Yes, you're up, Mr. Perry.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the courtesy you gave me in letting me know about this.
This is an enforcement order for Depot Auto. Josh, your comments, please.
So this was an enforcement that I issued, and the applicant just never bothered to come to one of our hearings. So the enforcement violation that was present on the property is in the rear of it's in the very rear along the railroad tracks, where the property owner pushed crushed stone within the wetland to store various, I think, plow equipment. And the wetland line was actually still up when I went to visit the property. So it's pretty clear that it was marked that it was wetland, so that's kind of where we're at. The violation is for filling of a wetland.
Okay, please identify yourself.
Yes, my name is Robert Terry, and I just recently started representing Depot Auto Services LLC. It's an LLC properly registered with the Secretary of State. I just gave Josh a copy of the latest summary that I ran this afternoon on that. What's happened here is the fellow who brought me in, a fellow by the name of James Cooley, is the manager of the LLC in all respects, all of the different managers that we set up in LLCs. However, he was wrongfully put out at a point in time by Derek Perry.
Well, can we go to the violation?
Well, I don't know anything about I'm going to ask you exactly when it occurred, and just, I've got an idea from Josh what it is. I wouldn't even know that much coming here tonight. But I understand now what the violation is. It's something that obviously was done by this Derek Perry. I suspect he's the person you were dealing with.
I could get all that information from the enforcement order, but that's correct.
Okay.
I met with the applicant on the site, or, well, the enforcee on the site. It's not like he didn't know about our hearing. He just decided not to come. So
You're talking Derek.
I'd have to double
I mean, if
check.
you are, I have nothing to do with
Yeah.
Derek. In fact, I've right now initiated an eviction procedure against Derek Perry. And it's
Okay.
his equipment, his trucks, his
Okay.
plows. And I'm trying to get a handle on what's going on, so I know what I have to do on behalf of the rightful people to satisfy this board. I mean, I want to work with you, I want to straighten out whatever needs to be done, fix whatever needs to be done, pay whatever fines need to be done. But I have a real lack of knowledge right now. And I should have tied in with Josh, but I'm sorry, I'm working part-time. I'm out
Yep.
at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just couldn't make it over there.
Understood. So what we're looking at was the filling of a wetland in the rear of
gathered
the
that from
property.
what you said.
What the commission should like to see is a restoration of that wetland.
I would expect so.
So,
And the removal of the stone.
yeah.
So you're gonna need a plan for that, and
Yep. So I imagine the wetlands were flagged, so there must be some type of site, plan existing that shows what the extent of the wetlands were somewhere.
I mean, I'll have to figure out who flagged it.
Right.
And get to them. I
Um,
don't have any idea.
And then we would need a restoration plan of how you're gonna remove
Exactly.
the fill and restore the wetland to what it was.
All right.
Now the question is, who? With the ownership in question, it becomes an issue that is way beyond us. But if that is so, Mr. Perry, what you're hearing is that we're going to need RDA for
A notice of intent.
notice of intent, a full notice of intent, which means an engineering plans and everything else, to remove the stone, restore the wetlands, and correct the problem.
And there will be fines issued.
There will be fines.
I gathered that.
Sorry, I just didn't want to not say it.
So, yep.
No. I
So,
don't come before this board that often anymore, but
so I don't know,
I certainly picked up on the fine part.
yeah, yes, I'm sure you
The fines are
did.
nothing compared to the plans and the work.
You got it. This will not be inexpensive.
No, it's not going to be.
All right, is there anything else on this?
Yeah.
Do we need to vote on confirming the enforcement order?
I believe we already did.
We did, they weren't here, but us that we did vote on it.
May I
To
ask how
support
many
the-
times this thing has been here before tonight?
It was just at the initial hearing for the enforcement order, where I had asked, in the enforcement order, I asked the enforcee to attend the meeting. That was
He chose not to.
stated, right.
Yeah, okay. Doesn't surprise me.
Right. So,
Oh, just to clarify, so there's a tenant and
Not a tenant. Mr. Perry owns, and no relation, by the way, I wouldn't be suing him if he was, but as you know. He actually holds a 48% or 49% interest in the LLC, ownership interest. That's subject to an operating agreement that makes my client all managers. He has total control over the LLC. There was an amendment, but it didn't really change anything in that respect. My client was wrongfully put out. Boy, I don't know just how it happened. I'm trying to get a handle on that right now with the help of the Wareham Police Department. I have no idea how that worked, but I know that now they recognize my guy as the guy to go to. I just came into this case just recently. In fact, I called Mrs. Slavin about a different matter entirely. She said, by the way, do you know? I said, oh my God, not another hitch here. So I asked her if she'd be kind enough to let me know when this is before the board so I could come in, at least introduce myself, try to get a handle on what's going on and solve what's another very serious problem for me.
Okay, Mr. Perry, for the record, they were asked to come to October 18th meeting. That was when we had them scheduled to discuss it, and they did not appear.
And I apologize. I think you told me that.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got an idea what I gotta do. I gotta get on top of this. I don't dare go look, because I'm afraid to get myself shot if I go down there until I get Mr. Perry out of there.
Okay.
And I'm quite serious about that. I'm a little leery of going on the property until I get a court order. But I
Thank
guess
you.
I gotta sneak down there on a weekend at least and take, yeah, the whole thing is a horrible, horrible mess. And it's, you know, a big money mess overall. And it's even worse now because of this cleanup that has to be done, the plans that have to be prepared.
Which means we'll probably not see CPA requests to redo that train station.
Not for a while.
Not for a while.
That's way outside of my
Okay.
current
All right.
direction by my client.
Thank you.
So I'll get on top of this as quick as I can. I do apologize, say I'm not working full-time until probably March as a result of some medical treatment every day. But I'll do the best I can. I want to make this board happy. I always like to make all the boards happy. So I'll be back to you as quick as I can. Josh, anything you need from me right now?
I will share with you the original enforcement order and some photos I took, so you going out to the property might not be necessary.
That would be great. That would be wonderful if you got photos, because I really don't want to go on the property. Can we do that next week?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're closed Friday, which you're probably closed through about
We're
Wednesday or
closed
so.
Monday, Tuesday as well, so
Okay.
next week is Wednesday, Thursday.
All right, well, that's great then. That's a little better for me. Okay. Thank you very much, folks. I
Okay, bye.
appreciate seeing everybody tonight.
Okay. We have minutes from December 6, 2023. Have the modifications or changes been corrected?
The modifications you gave me and the correction of Donna's
And Donna's name?
Correct.
Oh, I have one correction, I think, to the minutes. It said we adjourned, I think it said we adjourned at 7:30, and I don't think we got out of here that early. I think it was 8:30, last meeting.
Well, I can
Because
look
I
at the
was home
YouTube.
at like 8:45, and
I can look at the YouTube video, see how long it lasted, and
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
it-
work my
I
way
think it
backwards
was-
from there.
I was home like just before 9, so I thought, no, it wasn't 7:30 when we left here. It was 8:30.
Oh, I think it was, but by the time we talked and signed everything, I
Okay.
think I was home
Just jumped out at me.
a few minutes after Survivor started.
Kwame's birthday.
What
Huh?
was
We
the,
had cake after for Kwame's birthday.
Okay, maybe that was why. I
Yeah,
knew we
it
were
was-
here
What's the date on the
later,
minutes?
a lot later.
I wasn't here at that last meeting.
I don't have it here. Oh, December 6th.
December 6th?
If you wait 1 second, I
Is it-
think John is pulling up the YouTube video to get
Well, he's pulling that up. Let's bring up someone who wants to talk about the conservation restriction for the Sawyer property, or they wouldn't be sitting here all this time.
Elise is going to join via Zoom.
I don't have it.
Okay,
Oh, good.
Can you allow Lise into the meeting? Oh, you're good. Your meeting was an hour and 57 minutes. So 2 hours. 2 hours.
Wow.
So 8:30 makes sense.
you just hung around for the,
It wasn't just the cake.
Okay, so I will amend the time
Yeah.
that we adjourned.
thank you. All right, we're here for the Sawyer property conservation restriction. I believe a copy of it was sent to everybody. And some comments were made and sent back to Josh.
That's correct. And Elise, if you want to take it from here, I think we're ready.
Okay, Elise, introduce
Great.
yourself, please.
Great, thank you. My name is Elise Leduc Fleming. I'm the executive director of the Wareham Land Trust, and I had submitted a draft version of a conservation restriction that we could use for the Sawyer Preserve. Josh did relay some of the comments from the commission as far as he'd received them at that point. A few of them fell under the category that I would consider rules of property use. That is sort of a provision within the CR that we could set later. Things like, are dogs allowed on leash, are horses allowed, and things like that. I don't know that those are necessarily things that rise to the level of being written into the CR. But happy to have that conversation if you think otherwise. The one comment that I did think rose to the level of being written in was Sandy's comment on adding electric or motorized bicycles. So in the motor vehicle subsection of the prohibited acts and uses, in addition to motorcycles, mopeds, et cetera, we could specifically list out motorized bicycles. But otherwise, I think what I basically heard from Josh was something he said, Sandy said, which was that this is all pretty standard. The nice thing about the way CRs work now is it's a model document from the state. So much of it I did not write, and much of it we don't really have control over what it says. All we can do is take that template, that model, and make it specific to this particular property. So some of the most substantial changes are really describing the conservation values, what kind of biodiversity, what kind of wildlife habitat, soils, and things like that. And that, I think, is pretty based in fact. I've got data and maps to back that up if anyone had any questions. But we're not doing anything special with this property. And so many of the standard prohibited acts and uses we can use just as they're written in the model. And the same is pretty much true for the permitted acts and uses. So this is almost as simple as a CR can be, but I'm happy to answer any questions that did come up during your review.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Autumn?
No questions,
Michael?
No questions, thank you.
Kwame?
No questions, thank you.
Carol?
My only question was, will the CR for Wareham match in what is allowed and not allowed with the other CR holders for other pieces that connect to this property? Shouldn't they all be the same?
Not all of the properties adjacent to this one have conservation restrictions. And of the ones that do, they were placed on there for very specific purposes. So the one that comes to mind, so we, as the Wareham Land Trust, own the adjacent Gregory Preserve. There is not a CR on that property. We just own it outright as a conservation organization. There is an adjacent conservation restriction on the Onset Water District property, and that was actually almost like a penalty to the water department as mitigation for installing the solar field on their property. And so that CR comes with very specific habitat creation and management actions mandated by natural heritage to mitigate for the impacts they had to habitat during that project. And so I would say that no, this CR should not be exactly the same as the ones adjacent to it. And in general, every CR is very specific to the property it's on. What you may be thinking is more of the use rules for the public of using the properties now that there's a larger interorganizational trail network between them. And we are finalizing a memorandum of understanding between the Wareham Land Trust, the Onset Water Department, and the trustees to make sure we all understand how that trail system is going to function and what the rules for the public will be. So for that case, the public rules will be the same throughout all of the properties, but the conservation values and what's being protected parcel to parcel does not have to be the same.
Okay.
Paula Jean?
No questions, thank you.
Jessica?
No questions, thank you.
Donna?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. I guess the next step is that we wait for the selectmen to approve it?
So I think what we should do tonight is vote on a recommendation to the select board.
All right.
And I can draft up the email after we vote on that.
So the recommendation would be, it was our recommendation, that we support the signing and approval of this conservation restriction on the Sawyer property.
Correct. In both of the meetings that the Conservation Commission had and the Select Board had named the Conservation Commission as the holder of the CR.
Yes, we are the holder of the CR.
Correct. So I think what we're looking at here is a vote to recommend that the town approves the holding of the CR for the land trust.
That sounds like a very good recommendation. Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Before you move,
Well,
Sadie,
yeah.
could I say one more
Yep.
thing? So I'm thinking of Sawyer as sort of our practice CR. I mean, it's still very important, but the Marks Cove Vista one, which we will hopefully have a draft to you very soon, and we are closing on that property next week, we'll have a timeline to it because of the state grant that we got. But in preparing a draft of that one, which I've already started, I did pick up on a few like technicalities within the document, like places where I listed an address or didn't list an address, or a sentence that's sort of non-content based that will have to be changed. So I do think there's some small typo edits that will need to happen before anybody considers this a final document, but I want to just make sure perhaps that the Conservation Commission can recommend that the Select Board approve this Conservation Commission with, without any substantial changes or something to that effect, because I do think there's some minor tweaking of the details that will need to happen without changing any of the cans or can'ts on the property.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how the motion should be worded, but this was meant to be sort of a conversation starter and not a final draft.
Would you prefer that we delay it until the final draft is available?
It might be cleaner, and I don't know if that's going to affect the timeline. So you guys won't meet again before the 9th.
We meet on the 3rd of January.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, that would be great. I could push a
Okay.
new version of this to you with the minor changes, and it wouldn't, you could do a quick review, but it would essentially be the same. But like I said, I would add 54 Marion Road in a place where it's not right now and take it out somewhere else, that kind of change.
All right, so we'll wait for the final one to be seen on January 3rd. Just, all right?
I
No-
think, and
no
I would,
motion.
at that point, I probably would assume you wouldn't need me to attend, because I'm only going to change some typos.
Okay,
There'll be no substantive changes
Josh?
from what you're seeing today.
It will remain under other business. There's no reason to take a motion or a vote to continue it.
just that on the agenda for the 3rd, put on the agenda vote that I know you said that I want to specifically indicate that we will be voting on something on the agenda in case someone questions whether or not we acted. All right. I believe what is next is that a discussion of a different start time for the meetings. Who brought it up?
Thank you very much for your time. I'm
Well,
going to
thank
log
you.
off.
Have a good one.
Please.
Who brought it up?
Hi,
Yes, you did.
my name is Autumn Wood. I am a member of the Wareham Conservation Commission. It's worth mentioning that our meetings do tend to be lengthy. They do tend to run late into the night. There are other committees and boards of the town of Wareham that meet at an earlier time, so it's worth, bringing up to everybody who sits on the commission if we would like to start earlier, so that.
Do you have something in mind?
I would go so far as to propose 5:30. I think 6 o'clock is also a valid start time, to just be more mindful of everybody's personal lives, any professionals who might be coming here directly after work or as part of their work representing applicants. I just wanted to open that to see if that was something the commission was amenable to.
One of the things that would have to be considered is asking WCTV if they can cover us at 5:30. So that we would have to formally request WCTV to change their support from 6:30 to 5:30. But to me, that would be one of the things we have to iron out. But anybody else want to comment on changing a start time to 5:30 for those that work or move or?
Well, I think it's a good idea in general, probably for a lot of people in this room and for everyone at this time of year. 8:30 is the new midnight,
8:30 is the new midnight for me all
Getting
the time.
earlier sounds great to me.
I know that,
Okay. Actually, John would like to speak on behalf of Wareham Television.
Hi, Jonathan Day, WCTV. I have already spoken with Josh about this matter. WCTV is perfectly fine with you changing it to 5:30 or 6. We can make that schedule work.
okay. I gather, I think this is what you're the one that has to travel and whatever. What does it do for your schedule? Boston's a long
Madam
way away.
Chair, I can make anything work.
Whoa! I like that
Give me a
attitude.
ball and string, and I can make a house with it.
Michael,
For me, I got 6, I would probably go with 6, but whatever.
but you work, so would the
Oh,
5,
no, I don't work Wednesday nights, so,
okay,
whatever's fine.
so you're a 5:30 or a 6?
That doesn't matter to me.
Kwame,
5:30.
5:30.
I'm
Carol,
fine, I'm fine with either.
Yeah, I like 5:30.
5:30 is good with me.
Donna,
Well, as a working person, my preference would be 6 o'clock, just to give more buffer time between work and getting to the meeting. But I could make 5:30 work.
Jessica, you're the one that's,
I also like the idea of it being pushed up, but 6 would be better for me, just so I have time, because I work often through 5, sometimes later. But I can definitely be done in here by 6. Could we try 6 and then see
We'll
how it
Yeah,
goes, and we
why
can
don't we
make
try a trial period of 6 and
Yeah, 6.
see how we like it?
just have to tell the few people that listen to us on the television that we are moving to a 6 o'clock time.
I can, I'll make a special announcement on the website. And, we could probably get something posted
So-
at Town Hall.
Are we thinking of changing our January 3rd meeting to start at 6 o'clock?
That too early?
Or should we, I think we
I
should
would
wait
say
on that.
probably our second meeting in January.
Effective 1/17?
Yeah.
And so we need a reminder to everybody, including to Sandy, that it is at 6 o'clock, not 6:30.
I will include it in my,
In big
In my-
capital letters.
Big letters,
Yeah,
bold.
big, bold
in my
letters.
All caps.
informational email, I will include our newsletter.
To all our applicants that are coming here and whatever, so to say to them, you're either on Zoom or you get here at 6 o'clock.
I will, I can make a special provision in the agenda to make it well known that there is a new start time.
On the 7th, so, anybody objecting to it? If not, it's a done deal. We're going to start at 6 o'clock on the 17th of January.
Thank you, everyone.
How about the summer, huh? That's gonna be great.
Yeah, we'll
maybe
be,
earlier in the summer.
Yeah, can we start at like 10 in the morning?
so
beach?
unless there's anything else happening
Make a motion to close the
Motion to
hearing.
adjourn.
at
8:08.
8:08. That's the motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
700. Thank you, everybody, very good for those that, Christmas
Merry Christmas.
and New Year's.
Yeah.
Safe travel, happy times.
Yes.
Thank you.